Okay, I think we can get started here. So again, good morning. Welcome to making the move from gas to electric gardening equipment. And we do have Spanish interpreters here with us today on the webinar, and I'm going to hand it off to them so that if there's anybody that wants to hear this webinar in Spanish, they will give you instructions on how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Buen día a todos. Bienvenidos al webinario que tiene que ver con la transferencia de usar equipos de jardinería que tienen que ver con la gasolina o combustibles del petróleo a herramientas que funcionan en forma eléctrica. Vamos a tener la interpretación, ahora se va a activar en un momento. Cuando vean el globo terráqueo al calce de la pantalla, seleccionan su idioma, en ese caso sería español. Los que quieren pueden elegir en inglés. So when the interpretation is activated by Rebecca, you will see a globe at the bottom of the screen. Please select the language, either English or Spanish. It is important that you select the language because if there is a question in Spanish, you will be able to hear the interpretation in English. So everyone, I suggest select English when the interpretation is active, even the host. Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Thank you, Javier. So I'm going to add both of you here. I'm going to start the interpretation. So thank you so much, and let me know if you have any issues, Javier or Angela.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so we're going to start off with a presentation, and I'm going to share my screen here. In a few moments, you should be able to see it. Maybe not. Hold on here. There we go. Okay. So again, the topic we're covering this morning in the webinar, it's intended for gardeners and professional gardening and landscapers. And so my name is Rebecca Lucky. I'm the Sustainability Manager with the City of Menlo Park. I work in the City Manager's Office, work for the city for over 10 years in sustainability and environmental programs. And so why the city is kind of looking at these topics around gas-powered landscaping equipment actually kind of feeds into our larger overall goal to reduce use of fossil fuels in the community and really help meet our climate action plan goals. And so for today's agenda, we're going to be going over the proposed Menlo Park rules and process for adoption. So nothing has been adopted to date, so I want to make sure that that's clear. And then we're going to kind of provide an interview with Armando Vega, who is the owner of EnviroViews, and it's more of a question and answer interview where he goes over how his company transitioned to 80% electric gardening equipment. And then we also have some representatives from Ewing and Gardenland Center who are administrating the state discount program where you can receive significant discounts on electric equipment. There are many other stores that also offer this, and so I'll go over that as well. And then there'll be some time at the end for questions and answers. And to recommend, if you have kind of any burning questions, to use the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of the screen, and you could type in your questions and we could potentially answer them pretty quickly, or we can address them at the end of the webinar. So why is the city considering rules regarding gas-powered gardening equipment? There's been a lot of research in this area over the last I would say, decade or so. And so we're not only looking at it at a local level, the state of California has also been looking at this issue, and they've been studying it as well. The California Air Resources Board manages kind of rules for air quality in the state because we do have a lot of urban areas in the state. Air quality is an extreme issue. It has health impacts, it has quality of life impacts. So the California Air Resources Board is really the go-to regulator of how can we continue to thrive in urban areas and not have health impacts with kind of all of the uses that humans use to in society. And so what they've found is with small off-road engines, which 70% of small off-road engines are gardening equipment, is that if things don't change, that the total emissions from kind of gardening equipment and other small off-road engines, that those emissions, those smog emissions that are really harmful to human health, will exceed all of the cars in California. And that's pretty surprising. But when you kind of think about where we've gone, the California Air Resources Board has really targeted cars for a very long time. So in California, we have very strong fuel efficiency standards to try to reduce air pollution. You know, I think we're one of the first states to kind of, use a Cadillac converter to try to eliminate smog emissions. This hasn't always been the case in regulating gardening equipment. And so, again, they've been really trying to understand this issue more. And what they've found is that 1 hour use of a leaf blower really equates to driving 15 hours, like from LA to Denver. And so that's quite surprising. And again, leaf blowers tend to use a mixture of oil and gas. And so the kind of fumes and chemicals that are kind of being emitted from this type of equipment can cause, a lot of lung issues and cardiovascular issues, nervous system damage. So they are also finding it's quite harmful just in general for human health for the users and people who are exposed to it. And a 1 hour use of a lawnmower is not as emitting as a leaf blower, but it still has quite a few emissions. It's like driving from LA to Las Vegas, so 300 miles. And so that's what workers are inhaling. And protective gear is definitely recommended, but it's still an exposure risk. So why is the city, again, I've kind of covered what the environmental impacts are and health impacts, but residents have also been really concerned about noise, pollution, worker health and safety. And so that's really where the City Council of Menlo Park has landed. They directed staff, which is myself and others, to kind of reach out to gardeners and have one-on-one conversations about what it takes to transition, because we do want to address the concerns we're hearing from residents and kind of move toward a more healthier way of providing gardening and landscaping services. And I will say that this does build upon a new California law that will prohibit the sale, but not the use of gas-powered gardening equipment. And that will take effect starting very soon, January 1st, 2024. And so what that means is after January 1 of next year, manufacturers can only sell electric equipment to California retailers. So like Home Depot, kind of the landscaping and gardening stores like Ewing, Gardenland, San Mateo Lawnmower, they will all have to kind of, as their gas inventory is purchased and done, they'll only be able to fill their shelves with electric equipment, which means that all of us will only be able to buy electric gardening equipment starting next year. And so as part of kind of kicking off manufacturers to kind of be motivated to build really great electric equipment, kind of expand battery life, they wanted to kind of kickstart the market transition. And so the state of California is offering about $24 million in incentive for landscapers and gardeners. And that started in November of 2022. So, not too long ago, and the incentives are moving fast. They're definitely going. I've talked to a few of the stores, and they have a lot of reservations. So once the money is depleted, there isn't any plans for another program to start. So if you're thinking about transitioning, now is the time to really take advantage of these discounts. And the other thing I would add to this as well is, right now the state is trying to work on supporting small gardening and landscaping professionals. So kind of, smaller based companies with, less than 15 employees. They've really set aside $10 million to kind of work with smaller businesses to transition. But after that, those funds run out, then you're going to kind of be competing with all of the other larger gardening and landscaping companies out there. So again, highly encourage your small landscaper or gardener to really work with the stores to get electric landscaping equipment reserved for you. So Menlo Park's proposed regulation would apply to all properties, and it would start with leaf blowers and string trimmers, or also known as weed whackers. So that enforcement would begin July 1st of 2024, which is next year. And then all of the other types of gardening equipment like lawn mowers, chainsaws, hedge trimmers, the transition time for that is proposed to be much longer. So it would start January 1st, 2029. And yes, the hope really is kind of as gas equipment starts to reach the end of its life and you're only able to purchase electric equipment, hopefully the January 1st, 2029 date works. So our planned activities and next steps in this process is we're doing community outreach with the general public and also with landscaping and gardening professionals. So we've been doing that. We've been reaching out with landscaping and gardening professionals since March, just more one-on-one. And then February, March is when we launched a survey and we're doing these webinars. And so I recommend checking out our webpage if you want more information. You can also subscribe to updates so you'll know kind of when we're going toward making final decisions, or if we're putting up more resources or tips on how to transition or any other kind of financial incentives. So I would go to menlopark.gov/ZELE, Z-E-L-E, and that again will bring you to just general information about what we're doing, tips, discounts offered. And then again, if you're, for gardeners and landscapers, we really do want to hear from you. And we've got a survey out right now. You can go to it by going to your web browser and putting publicinput.com/ZELE. It's also in Spanish as well. You can add an S to the end of that address, and the entire survey will be provided in Spanish, and you can answer questions that way as well. And so we haven't had too many responses. So again, we're hoping to get some more. We did have a survey back in June as well, and the survey response was pretty low. So again, we want to hear about your thoughts on transitioning, and highly encourage filling out the survey, which would be helpful for us to know kind of what the next steps are and how to report back to our decision makers on the rules that we're proposing to make. So our next stop really after the public outreach is complete and with our gardening professionals is to go to the Environmental Quality Commission. They're an appointed body by the City Council. They don't make any final decisions, but they do provide recommendations to the City Council, and the City Council looks at their advice as they're making the final decision. So we're planning to go to this commission in April. So that's around the corner. So the meeting would be April 15th. So if you're interested in that, it's April 15th at 6 o'clock. So after the Environmental Quality Commission provides their advice, we will be going to the City Council like late April, early May, and the city council when we're making a new rule, there's generally 2 readings. There's a first reading and a second reading, so the public has 2 opportunities to provide insights or feedback to the city council. And this will be the final opportunity to provide public feedback before the city council makes a final decision. And so if rules are adopted as proposed, the plan is to still continue engagement with the community and professionals on transition tips and resources. And so it's not like we're going to go radio silent after the city council adopts the rules. We will kind of, again, reach back out to gardeners and landscapers, let them know what the outcome of the decision is, what incentives are available, what resources are available to help transition. So as I mentioned earlier in our agenda, we do have a gardening professional, Armando Vega, who is owner of Enviro Reviews. This is a 2nd-generation family-owned business in the Bay Area. They serve 33 homeowner associations or large residential living areas like apartment complexes, condo properties, townhomes, and they employ about 30 staff. They began their transition in 2020 with 1 crew and have since been able to expand to all 5 crews within 2 years. And so they're actually not here today, but we have a recording from our last webinar that I'm going to play for you all. And again, if you have any questions, you can feel free to use the question and answer feature at the bottom of the screen, and we'll be able to answer some of those questions. So just give me a second here while I get our video playing. So the first kind of question area is around equipment. So Armando, if you could just share with us, what was your motivation to transition?
First of all, thank you, Rebecca, for allowing me to share my story. I didn't do it alone. I had a good group of people and resources. Gardenland was very instrumental in helping us find the right equipment to help us to do our work with all battery equipment. My motivation really came about wanting to differentiate ourselves from our larger competitors, and also being in the industry for almost 25 years. One of the main concerns that our customers had was the noise of the leaf blowers, especially in homeowner associations where their housing is very put together closely, and so the gas equipment basically has the noise is just bounces off the houses, the neighborhoods, and you can hear the leaf blowers from 2 or 3 blocks away from the source. So I was thinking, like, I did some research and found out that the electric equipment, the battery equipment, has enough sufficient power and range to allow us to do our work within like 1 day, a full day's work with 1 charge. And so that was the motivation, was A, to differentiate ourselves from our competitors, and to just to provide a different source of equipment service using a more quieter equipment.
Thanks, Armando. And then could you describe the electric equipment you have, and do you still use any gas-powered equipment?
Yeah, right now we are, I would say 80% all electric. Basically what we did is we duplicated what we had on our gas equipment trailers for our crews. We have right now we have a 33-inch walk behind all electric lawnmower, two leaf blowers, 2 weed eaters, string trimmers, 2 hedge trimmers, and what else? And that's pretty much it. And so everything that we have in one crew is all electric. So we carry no fuel, no mix on those particular crews. This year, we hope to be 100% all electric. Yeah, so that's our goal.
Thank you. And what type of brands have you been using and how are they holding up?
Okay. We have been using the Mean Green lawnmowers, and we are also using the Steel brand backpack batteries. Basically, we have the Steel brand string trimmers, leaf blowers, hedge trimmers. Everything is Steel except for the larger walk behind mowers.
Great. And the equipment has been pretty comparable to gas as far as.
It's very okay. So the equipment is very comparable to the gas equipment, but it's actually even better because you don't have to worry about the mix. You don't have to worry about spark plugs, no carburetors. You don't have to worry about those type of maintenance. The only thing you have to worry about now is, okay, so we manage how to use the equipment properly so that we have enough power on our equipment to last us all day. And all day means 7 hours of work.
Great, thank you. And then how many batteries are needed per piece of electric equipment? Like how many extras do you need to carry?
Well, in our case, because we have the Steel backpack batteries, we can use the hedge trimmers, so we can use the string trimmers, we can use the leaf blowers, all within one backpack battery. So right now we have three backpack batteries and 2 smaller batteries that we put on the 21-inch lawnmowers. So you're looking at a total of 6 batteries per crew, and that lasts us. And even that lasts us all day, but we still have power on our batteries to further on more work for that day.
Great, thank you. And can you describe your charge? Hello, I'm just going to check on our attendees and make sure everything's going smoothly. I see a hand raised, Patrick. I'm going to allow you to talk. You just might need to unmute yourself. I don't think we're able to hear you. If you can maybe type your question in. Oh, I see, Q&A. Oh, it was an accident. Okay, I'll continue on with the video then. Thank you. Charging system and what you needed to do to get that up and running.
Okay, so we started with an empty canvas, an enclosed trailer, a 6-foot by 10-foot trailer enclosed. It was empty. So what I had to do, come up with an idea to organize the batteries, how we're going to charge it inside, and also how to organize the equipment. And so with Gardenland, they have this battery management system. It's called a TOA that allow us to plug in all the chargers on that TOA, power manager, and then just connect a 110 extension, plug it into the wall, and then overnight all the batteries are charged, and in the morning all that the guys do is unplug, unplug the extension cord, and off they go to work.
Great, thank you. And did you have to do any kind of upgrades? Like,
Yes, we did. We had we had to increase the capacity on our breaker, and that was just something that needed to be done in the first place. And so we did that. Had an electrician. That cost us about, I think it was like 3,500. But that gave us the capacity to be charging up to 8 different crews at one time.
great, thank you.
Yeah.
So the next set of questions really revolve around cost and savings. So did you have to increase customer rates as a result of the transition? And if so, why?
Okay, so we did this without throwing it out there to our customers. We were like, okay, we have a pretty good size of customer base, and we didn't want to throw it out there and say, hey, we're going to be going electric, but here's your new bill with an increase. No, we did it on our own, and for the following year, we were allowed. We asked our customers for an increase, and it was like 10% increase, and they were so excited about it. They were just like, oh, thank you for investing in the tools, and it's so much quieter. We can work from home, and so that just made it worth all the while.
Thank you. And what methods have you used to keep customer costs low? So, how did you replace the leaf blower because what we understand is that the electric equipment maybe isn't as powerful as the gas leaf blower?
So, yeah, there are different. We had to do a training on how to basically. There's a different mentality when we use the gas when we use the gas leaf blowers, for example. We realized that our employees were going out there and then using the full throttle on the leaf blowers. They wanted to use it as opposed to raking. And so when we did a transition to electric, we had to do a retraining and said, okay, now our practice, we have to eliminate the use of leaf blowers as far as, instead of using the rake for after you're trimming and you're raking your trimmings and that sort of thing, and then just save the leaf blower for the last. But we became efficient in the way that we service our customers, even using the battery. It was just a retraining process.
Thank you. And have you experienced any kind of fuel savings as a result of the transition?
Oh yeah, this is so we started this. We purchased the equipment in December of 2020. We launched the electric division in January 2021, and I did a cost analysis at that time to fuel one crew just for the equipment. It was costing us $600 every 2 weeks. So that's $1,200 a month just for one crew, and not including the truck. And so that's the savings that we were, having just with one crew. And so we multiply that now by 5 crews that we're having right now using our electric, and with the increase of gasoline that we experienced this last year, I know for sure we're saving more than $1,200 per crew.
Thank you. And how much time, because we understand that the cost for electric equipment is higher than for gas-powered equipment. So how much time did it take you to recover your costs from the transition to gas to electric?
Well, we were basing it on our math, and we were like, okay, we're expecting it within 2 years, but it's actually 1.5 years that we'll get our return on investment. And the more the gas prices go up, the quicker we get our return on investment.
Thanks. So this last set of questions really involve kind of any safety and last kind of any tips for for gardeners and landscapers. So were there any safety issues that you had to resolve, like charging areas, cord issues between the equipment and the battery pack?
Okay, yeah, so that's part of the training process that you have with your employees, and it's just how to use the equipment. Sure, I mean, we ran through a few things, and one of them was, when we have the backpack batteries and we have the cord, and a crew member will be trimming and then accidentally nicks the cord. And so those are the things that we go back, and then as a company, as a staff meeting with the crews is okay. So when we're trimming, and we have to be more careful and how we use the equipment and that sort of thing. For us, we did a 1-day training on how to use the batteries, how to charge the batteries, how to use the equipment, and basically we just go through every piece of equipment, and we show them how much more safe the equipment, the electric equipment is than the gas-powered equipment. It has more safety features, and so that's been a really plus for my employees. They appreciate that. It's much more quieter. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, it's so much quieter. I don't have to wear my earplugs when I'm using the leaf blower." I said, "No, you still have to, but you can use the other ones, the smaller ones." So it's just, and they say that when they go home, they don't smell like gasoline. And so that's yeah, they're really excited about that. But yes, the electric equipment does have more safety features than the gas power.
Thank you. And are you able to use electric equipment during rain events? Have you experienced any issues with that?
Yeah, when we launched it last in 2021, and then we had some rains, I was a little nervous. But no, the batteries the batteries are waterproof. The ones that we use are waterproof, and the crews are using them even in the rains. No problem. Yeah.
And do you have any advice for small size gardeners with like maybe less than 5 employees on how to transition? Where would they start? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so they should start where I started. Basically, go to your local landscape dealer and do your research and say, look, this is the type of these are the type of customers that I have. If I have residentials and I have this vehicle, okay, then you do your homework and say, okay, so I'm gonna need this type of equipment that they need to last this long. And then you may have to make some changes on your vehicle, whether you have a van or you have a pickup truck or you have a trailer. And then you can start organizing your tools, and also make sure that, if you're going to take the tools out of your vehicle, out of your trailer into your shop or garage, make sure that you have the equipment necessary to make sure that you charging your batteries properly. You have a good power manager so that you don't trip your breaker. And that's one of the main things that I really appreciate Gardenland is that they taught me, okay, so this is the equipment that you're going to need for what for your purpose, and they have a really good product called the TOA, and so that's what I would recommend, is just for any landscaper to go to their local dealer and ask the questions and do a test. Start with something small, even if it's just a leaf blower or one battery. Start with that, and they're going to see they can grow into phasing out the rest of their gas power equipment.
All right. So again, that was a video from our last webinar, and I do have a few more slides to show, but our Armando, again, He's not here today, but thank you so much for providing your case study and how you transition. And we do recognize that, one story, or one size doesn't always fit all. But hopefully some of his experience will be helpful for you in considering how to transition to electric equipment. So let me bring back up where we are in our presentation here. Okay, so the next part of our agenda is about the state discount program. And as I mentioned, there's about 24 million available, 10 million has been set aside for small gardening and landscaping professionals. And so it's called californiacore.org. So we've got some information on our website on some of the equipment, but if you're looking for kind of the whole landscape, no pun intended there, of equipment that's available, I recommend that you go to californiacore.org and you'll be able to search through their entire inventory and all of the stores in California. I was more focused on kind of where you could get it close to Menlo Park. And so some examples that we've put together from the Core website is you could get a kind of basically a still battery powered electric leaf blower backpack. And normally those go for about $700 retail price. And if you go to one of the designated stores, you could get that for $300. And Armando was talking about the TOA power management system. And so this is kind of what that looks like over here in this green kind of box. And essentially it's a smart charger. You could plug all of your equipment in and it charges a certain amount of equipment for the first set of time period. And then once that's done, it'll go on to another set of equipment. And so you don't have to worry about being up all night and trying to unplug and unplug things. So again, highly recommend checking that out. Normally these power management systems are about $650, and through the discount program, you could get it for $200. So again, these are just examples. And if you go to our webpage, menlopark.gov/ZELE, Z-E-L-E, you'll be able to kind of scroll, I think, to the middle of the page and access kind of the PDF flyer that has a lot of this equipment in it, and as well as others, and where the closest store is in Menlo Park. Okay, so where to get the discount? And there is a couple of places. I'm just checking to make sure my microphone's still working here, so apologize on that. So you can go to Ewing in San Carlos, that's closest to Menlo Park, but they definitely have other stores. There's Hayward, Dublin, San Leandro. Some of their stores sell different model or brands. So again, I would go to the Core website if that's what you're looking for. And we do have kind of another video from our past webinar where we had a sales representative, Erasmo Martinez from Ewing, who goes over kind of what you need to bring in order to access the discounts. And then there's also Gardenland Center in Campbell near San Jose. And Armando was talking about their store as far as helping him with power management. And we also have Richard Ogawa as well, who's a CEO and owner. And from what I understand, he's been selling electric equipment for longer than the state's been considering any rules regarding electric equipment. So that's a really good resource. And then we have San Mateo Lawnmower and Horizon Distributors, who are actually located in Menlo Park. Again, they all sell different brands. Go to our website, download the flyer. It's menlopark.gov/ZELE, Z-E-L-E, and you'll be able to find the address, like who's the person you talk to about that. And again, it's pretty easy, as you'll probably see through this next video as well. So I'm going to stop sharing again and get us back on track here with our panelist from these stores.
Rebecca was saying, it's actually really easy to apply for this program. It really requires an ID and just one form of documentation, whether it's your landscape contractor license, it can be a copy of a business license, or it can be a business card and just our dealer attestation saying that you're basically a customer of ours, and we can go ahead and attest that you are a contractor that works with us. As far as the processing time, I really recommend applying as soon as possible. As we were mentioning earlier, we do have a lot of applicants, and the state is probably going to be the one that's going to take the longest, between 30 to 60 days to approve the voucher. Product-wise, we do have a lot of product available in general, but there are a few things, especially lawnmowers and some blower kits that are taking several weeks to even sometimes months to get certain applications, especially through Stihl. And then once we get that product in and the voucher is approved, it should take only about 1 to 2 weeks to process that redemption process. And that's when we can go ahead and collect that payment through the voucher system, which is about 70% less is what it averages. So instead of paying, the list price on that.
Oh, Arisma, before you go ahead, Richard, can you share your experience with the processing times?
Yeah, actually, what we've been experiencing is the process is taking a lot longer than they kind of originally laid out. I think that this is a fairly new process for them, so they're kind of working out all the kinks. But there's some very specific things that you want to just be aware of. There are certain products that are available on the core site that aren't technically available from the manufacturer yet, and they're still being developed and produced. So in those cases, you won't get any type of approval or funding until that actual product is shipped from the manufacturer. So if you're looking to transition fairly quickly, you should ask your dealer to make sure it's product that they actually have in stock. That'll really speed up the process in doing that. And then just make sure there's some specific rules like the funding cap that we're talking here. It's maxed out at $25,000. If you have any kind of claim, any bit over that, your claim will be held up and you won't know it because the exceptions aren't really coming out. They're not that obvious. And so you may run into these exceptions that your claim is being held up and you wouldn't know it, you wouldn't be aware of it. So just be aware of working with your dealer to make sure that you're meeting all the specific requirements. Did we talk, Erasmo, about the requirements, the business requirements?
Yes, so actually I took out the slide, but what the requirements are basically need to be a small business or micro business. You cannot have more than 100 employees to qualify. And also, as far as limitations on the batteries, which is on this side here, when they are going to apply, as a dealer, we'll help you out to choose which batteries and which things that we can use, because if you limit, like for example, $3,000 on the battery itself over 700 watt hours, if those items are not put in a certain order, as Richard has mentioned, they will actually refuse the voucher and they'll kick it back to us. And so definitely work with us on the process, and we have really good resources that we can show you. We have printouts usually and connections where we, like as Armando was mentioning, and working with Richard and his company, is definitely feel open to talk to us, contact us. Don't do it all alone because it can just be a little snag, like as simply as missing a check mark. And we want to definitely make this as easy as possible.
And I think the other thing to emphasize too is this program was really built around the micro business as well as the small business landscaper. This is not made for the commercial big landscaping companies. This was really made for the 1-2 truck guys that are out there that really it's just so expensive now. It's usually a 4 to 5x more expense for you to invest in battery. And this program was really designed for that specific purpose. So when they define micro business, that's, basically they've had $10 million out of that 27 million specifically allocated micro businesses. And they gave them the opportunity to participate in the program 18 months earlier, or they're reserving that 10 million for 18 months, specifically designed for your landscapers that have 1 or 2 trucks, right? And less than 100 employees. So I'd really take advantage of that because it's a very unique opportunity that you're going to be able to qualify for those funds, and you'll get priority, right? And as of right now, about 5.8 million of the 10 million that was allocated for micro business has been used up, right? So don't wait. This is your opportunity to really take advantage of a program that's very specifically designed for the local landscaper. And currently, I believe around 3 million has been used up of the 17 million that's been designated for small businesses. So, the money is not going to be unlimited, so take advantage of it while you can.
Great. And Erasmo, what's the volume you've been seeing?
I will have a question about almost every day, whether it's a call or an existing customer that wants to learn about it and how it would work, how long it takes, especially because it is some products that are taking a long time or not even available to order. And so when I give that information out, it really helps them understand that process. And so I'll get calls again every day about it, and applications are coming in weekly, several a week. And unfortunately, because of certain products, we can't move forward. But as soon as they're available, we want to have them on queue. And so if you're interested, definitely reach out to us.
Great. And your frequently asked questions there, I saw sales tax.
Yes, so
over that.
the MSRP is going to be based on that sales tax. So there is going to be tax on it. You can't just get the discount and not pay the tax on it. The state does need to collect that tax separately. And then there is a $25,000 cap per purchaser, which also includes the contact person. So meaning the owner, for example, can't do 25,000 and then claim another 25,000 for the company. It's a total of $25,000. And it is a 12-month voucher. And so that allows that product to basically kind of keep an eye on it and see what's available, what we can get in sooner and what we cannot. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess the duration of the program, it's really wrapped around how much funding is left. So there's not really a time limit. It's when the money's used up, it's used up. So highly encourage you guys to, jump on it while you can and take advantage of this program while the funds are available.
Exactly.
Okay, yes, and again, our store representatives aren't here today, but we were so appreciative of them attending our first webinar and making the time. I think it was on a Thursday evening. Yes, I guess we all can't reiterate enough how important it is to get into these stores and at least reserve the equipment or see what's out there and kind of work through it, because the funding isn't always, it's not going to last. Again, there's no plans to continue the funding. So now is definitely the opportunity. So I do have one more slide before we get to questions and answers here to kind of close out our presentation. And so wanted to I would be remiss in my role as a sustainability manager to not talk about battery disposal and just kind of where batteries go. And I do get quite a few questions from this when I've done some of the one-on-one outreach with landscapers and gardeners. And there is always a trade-off, I will say, in my field of working over 14 years when we're talking about transitioning to different technologies. And so I think our overall goal is to try to get to a place where there is the least amount of environmental impact. And so, and sometimes as humans, we're trying to prioritize, like, what is that? Is it air quality? Is it that I don't want any toxic waste? Or I want, water quality to be excellent. And so it's always it's a real struggle. And so again, I probably would go back to what Armando had said. It's kind of retraining how much do we need to use powered equipment in general. And if we're able to use it less, if possible, then that really does expand the life of batteries, right? And kind of reduces the amount that we have to produce. But if you're in a situation, which you will be, to dispose of batteries properly, and you're a business, we recommend going to a Cal2 recycle bin. There's one at Home Depot usually. It's free to drop off. The manufacturers who are selling this electrical equipment have committed to kind of a bring back our batteries kind of program. So you may want to research that as well. Because again, batteries do cause an issue if they are disposed of improperly. So if you're just throwing them into the garbage can or anywhere else beyond putting it into a facility where they are able to handle that waste, it does cause a lot of issues. I will even say we have a transfer station at our San Carlos waste facility, and because people have kind of thrown away batteries like lithium batteries and others, when a machine runs over it or it gets caught in a machine, it causes a fire, and then it makes it harder for us to process waste. It increases waste rates because we have to get higher insurance, and so we're hoping that everyone does their part by disposing batteries properly. So again, Cal2 recycle bin is a good choice. It's in East Palo Alto. We do recommend calling before you go. Or again, talk to the stores that you've kind of seen here or purchase gardening or landscaping equipment, and they can kind of help direct you where to dispose of batteries. But please don't throw them into a regular garbage can or recycling bin either, unless it specifically says for batteries. And probably the last point here is really determining how to charge your equipment can make the transition smooth and reduce cost. So maybe you might not have to upgrade your electrical panel if you're able to use this TOA power management system. But most battery chargers do require dedicated circuits, so you may need to add breakers. Your electrical panel may need to be upgraded. If you're kind of doing your business out of your home, there's a lot of programs currently available for electrification in general of home. And so I think in our area, Peninsula Clean Energy offers a rebate for electrical panel upgrades for EV charging. So, if there's a way to kind of stack along that, you might be, looking at other areas where you want to electrify things in your home or your vehicle, that could be a good resource. And talk to your local stores to learn more about safe charging. So like Ewing, Gardenland, San Mateo Lawnmower, Horizon, and Menlo Park. They've been working in this field for quite some time and can give you probably some good advice. And another resource is the American Green Zone Alliance. So they're a organization. I do believe they charge a fee, but they can help you kind of look at your equipment, kind of what you're using, determine like what's the best kind of way to phase in electrical equipment and get a return on your investment, and also give you advice about how to charge as well. So I've got their information up here. They're AGSA, it's agsa.net, or you can email them. I've got a phone number here as well if that's helpful for you. So with that, and again, I'll mention that this webinar is recorded, so you'll be able to access it on our webpage, menlopark.gov/Zelle, Z-E-L-E. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. My email is rllucky, so it's 2 L's, at menlopark.gov, or you can feel free to give me a call. So that's the end here. Thank you for our Spanish interpreters. I do want to open it up if there are any questions from our attendees. I don't see any in the chat either. All right, well, hopefully you stay dry and warm today. It's supposed to be a lot of rain coming, and hope you found this webinar helpful. And thank you to both of our Spanish interpreters, Angela and Javier. Appreciate you joining us on a Sunday morning as well. Thank you so much and have a great day.